Starting any new job is stressful. Starting a career in trucking is absolutely no exception. It's a tough deal your first year. In this video, I'm going to give you a solid overview of the things you'll probably encounter and how to handle them. Today's video is inspired from an article on our website. Do check out the full article on our website. You'll find the link below. You can find more articles of this nature on our website. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. One of the first things you're going to encounter as a new driver with a company are ugly loads. This is just standard practice among the trucking industry. Now, not all trucking companies do this because not all trucking companies have ugly loads, frankly. But it's common practice if you're hired on with a carrier that runs these big cities, it's common practice to put new guys on ugly loads. And that's for a couple of reasons. It's because the senior guys have been there long enough and they don't want to take the ugly loads. And the dispatchers are saying, well, let's see if this guy can handle the pace. And they'll deliberately give new guys ugly loads to see how they can handle it. And if you're a new guy and you get a 12 dropper in the Bronx, man, that's an ugly load. And it could make a guy or break a guy. And this is part of their test on whether or not you're going to be able to throw the worst or handle the worst they can throw at you. It's just kind of standard practice with a lot of big outfits. So be prepared for that. Make sure you have a good night's rest. You're well rested every night. You come into work calm, relaxed, unstressed, focused totally on the job, and that way you're prepared. You can handle whatever they throw at you. And they're going to throw some ugly crap just because you're the new guy, so you're going to get some of the worst of it. So just take it in stride, relax, get rested the night before, dive in. You'll be fine. Navigational issues. What this means is that when you're looking for a customer, and it happens to everyone sooner or later, you're going to take a wrong turn and you're going to get lost. And you're going to end up in a situation sometimes that just isn't pretty and it's going to be hard to get out of. How do you handle it? The first way to handle that is not to get lost in the first place, if you can possibly help that. How do you prevent that? 3-point check. You phone the shipper for directions in and you copy them all down. You don't try to memorize them. You write them down as he dictates. You compare those directional instructions to a map that you've bought, even if it costs you $5 at the truck stop outside of town before you come in. It's well worth it. So you compare that to the map that you've bought and then you double check it against your truck-oriented GPS. Not your four-wheeler GPS, your truck GPS, and that way you've got 3 solid points of reference. So you make sure they all line up, they all agree, and if they don't agree, you call the shipper back and say, hey, my GPS is telling me to turn right here, but you said turn left. Is that correct? What's the deal? How could that be misconstrued? So between those 3 items that you have to rely on, you can almost always eliminate the possibility of getting lost. Now, sometimes what happens is the GPS will say, turn right 100 yards, and you'll have gone 100 feet. And you think, oh, that must mean this turn, and you'll turn right when you shouldn't have. You should have waited a little longer, and you'll end up on a dead-end street or something like that. Happens to everybody. It's happened to me. Just be calm. Think the whole thing through. Now, can you do a U-turn where you are? A lot of guys try a U-turn and end up crunching the bunk extenders or something like that. That's damage, that's money, that's points, that's your company mad at you. So be damn sure you can execute the U-turn without crunching the bunk extender against the trailer. If you can't, you got to back out of there to a point where you can turn it around. Usually a T intersection on a street or something like that. If there's heavy traffic flowing, and you try to back up and every 2 or 3 feet there's a four-wheeler behind you blowing his horn, be calm, sit tight, turn on the flashers, and wait for the police to come and help you. And they'll block the traffic and they'll help guide you back. No matter what, it might take a little longer that way, but no matter what, you're not ricocheting off a car and causing damage and getting charged and all these ugly things that can happen. And it's the same thing if you encounter a low bridge or something like that. You see all these guys try to do a U-turn to avoid a low bridge, or they go under the low bridge. You don't want to do either. Sit calm, sit tight. They've got cops in every town. That's part of their job, is to help you out of a spot like that, and just let them guide you back. Don't sweat it though. In the long run, sooner or later, everybody makes a wrong turn. The next point is prepare your family. Now that might sound a little strange to all you big macho truck drivers out there, especially the single guys. But if you're not a single guy, if you've got a girlfriend or a wife and kids, you've got to be honest with your family as to what you're into here. If they tell you that you're going to be out 2 weeks, tell your family you're going to be gone 2.5 weeks and there's a variable involved. You've got to be completely upfront with your family as to the fact that you will be gone for a while, there will be no steady income coming in at the first, and you've just got to have them on the same page as you so they're not upset, because they're already going to be worried about you. You're out in the road, they can't contact you sometimes when they need you. You've got to get your family on board, you've got to prepare them, you've got to let them know this isn't going to last forever. You're in the learning stages, it'll take some time to work out the bumps, but everything's going to be okay. You've just got to share everything with them. Something else you should be aware of is that most carriers won't pay their new guys very well initially because they're trying to recover the costs of training you or whatever it is. So don't expect the pay to be great and immediately forthcoming. You've just got to be prepared till you get into the rhythm that the carrier uses, that the first few checks are going to be kind of low. And it may continue like that the longer you have to run with a driver trainer. So just part of the deal, suck it up, be prepared financially. Have some money in the bank before you go into one of these training programs for new drivers, new CDL guys, because they won't be dishing out as much money as you're going to go through in this training process. It's as simple as that. So be prepared, have some money in the bank, warn your wife that this is going to be part of the deal initially until you get established. The pay is not going to be great. One of the best ways to avoid low pay for a long period of time is to know your contract. Be completely aware of the pay conditions within the contract. Every carrier has a contract. They're all different. They all have different terms and times and time periods and that type of thing. They'll all have reference to your paychecks. How, when, how much, mileage rate, all of that stuff that's important. So know that contract backwards and forwards before you start. Even ask the carrier if you can have your lawyer look it over and explain it to you. Most of them won't let you do that. But you want to fully understand what you're signing, because once you sign it, you're bound to it. Be aware that most of the contracts that carriers will do with new CDL drivers run a 1-year period. And if that's the case, you don't want to be jumping ship before that contract is up, because there will be financial and legal repercussions that you just don't want to deal with. So be prepared to stick it out for the full term. Have a good look at that contract. If there's something in there you don't like, ask questions. Ask the recruiter about this and find out the whole deal, all the details, so you know when you're making what mileage rate, at what point, how many miles, how long you've got to stay with the trainer, all those details. So that way they can't make a mistake and leave you with a trainer 3 months longer at 15 cents a mile than they should have, or something like that. And it happens all the time. So know the contract. Now, what most big carriers will do is they will put a new guy with a trainer. And this can be a difficult period to adjust to. And some of these trainers, you'll find out, for better or for worse, have hardly any more experience than you do when you're dealing with a mega carrier. They promote guys to trainer after 3 months, some of them. But remember, this is a key point in your training. So you've got to learn to get along with this guy. You've got to be patient with this guy. This guy is marking you. And if he gives you bad marks, it can adversely affect the outcome of your training with this company. So just kind of take it easy, take it all in stride. Don't be too hard on the guy. Ask questions. A lot of people feel really big and important if you ask them a lot of questions. Make it look like they know more than you. But don't be afraid. Just ask questions a lot of the time. Now, if there's two guys and they're sharing a truck and a bunk, that can be uncomfortable too, because it's a small living space at the best of times. It's difficult for two people to get along in such a confined area. So be aware of that, relax, don't stress it, try not to be nitpicky and get into a fight with the guy. Something else you should know too, and a lot of big carriers have a problem with this, is that they will try to use you as a team with a trainer and a new guy, and they'll try to rotate your driving. But the fact of the matter is, and this is law, that when the trainer is in the bunk, he's not training. So you shouldn't be driving. And that's just the way it is. It's illegal to use the trainer as a running partner, because he's supposed to be up teaching you, not having a nap. If the carrier tries to shove that down your throat, or if the trainer tries to shove that down your throat, pull it over and call the carrier and say, no, this isn't going to work for me. This guy can't be training me when he's in the bunk having a nap. At the end of the day, you guys are going to go through all of this. You drivers are going to go through all of this because the end goal is experience. You're all racking up seat time. You all want to rack up experience because it is the hiring criteria for bigger and better things to come in your trucking career. So what you're after is experience, as much as you can get. So yeah, there are going to be trials and tribulations, but at the end of the day, it's all going to be worthwhile because no matter what, you've gained experience, and that's what future employers will look to and look for coming from you. And there's no substitute in this industry for experience. Just about everything is gauged on experience. You're going to be fine. You're going to get through it. Just take it calmly and don't be nervous. Think everything through. Move cautiously. That's the secret to this. Everybody likes a story. Let me tell you what happened to me in my first year. Just because it happens to everybody. So you should know this. My first year out, I was into a spot and I got lost. So I was already rattled because I was lost. I found a gas station and I decided, I better stop and ask for directions here. So I pulled the truck over to the shoulder of the road and hopped out to go talk to the guy at the gas station to see if he could steer me right, to see if he could give me directions. And I don't know what made me turn around, but I did. And I turned around and I'd forgot to set the trailer brakes. And I'd forgot to set the tractor brake. And the truck was slowly rolling down the hill away from me. Because I'd been so rattled, I forgot to set the brakes. I was so worried about being lost. Happily, I was in pretty good shape back then. I was able to run, catch the truck, hop up inside and pull the brakes. Then I went back for directions, but that could have been disastrous. But it was only because I was rattled. I wasn't keeping my head. I lost my cool and I was busy worrying instead about thinking what I was doing. It happens to everybody. So you just want to minimize your chances of this happening to you. Think it through, be calm, relax. You're going to get through it. You're going to be all right. And it's going to end up being a great career. I loved every day of it. And the same will be true for you. You guys take care. Keep the rubber side down. We're pulling for you. And I'll see you on the back.